Hello, everyone, and welcome to QA versus QC and everything that you need to know about quality management systems. My name is Marie Sweeney, and I will be your guide of sorts for today's presentation, hosted by Quality Smart Solutions and Cannabis License Experts. Sorry about that. So today I will address as many questions as possible during the Q&A towards the end of the hour. Now, with that said, please take advantage of the chat window to add your questions and feel free to do this throughout the hour. And so today, what are we going to be covering? We're looking at what is a quality management system, or a QMS, and why should your team implement one? What is quality assurance? What is quality control? And how to develop and implement a QMS within your organization, as well as a question and answer period. So what is a quality management system? So QMS is a formalized system that documents processes, procedures, and responsibilities for achieving policies and objectives within your organization. So this system is going to help organizations coordinate and direct activities to meet both regulatory and customer service requirements. The primary goal of a QMS is to achieve consistency in quality, meet customer requirements, and to continuously improve your overall performance. So what are the benefits of implementing a QMS? First, it is to define, improve, and control your company's processes. It is to reduce waste, prevent mistakes that should be easily avoided, assist in lowering costs and saving money across the organization, facilitating and identifying training opportunities and areas of personal growth, engaging your staff, defining organization-wide direction, and communicating a readiness and ability to produce consistent results. So quality assurance versus quality control. QA and QC are both essential components for your QMS, and they play a distinct but complementary role in ensuring that products, processes, and services meet specific quality standards. So some of the differences are when you're on the QA side, it is going to encompass all activities and processes that ensure an overall quality management system is effective. A quality control focus is on inspecting, testing, evaluating products, components, or processes to identify and rectify any defects. Quality assurance, involves setting up functions, guidelines, and standards to prevent defects and ensure compliance with established quality requirements. The QC activities are often conducted at different stages of production or service delivery. So what are some of the similarities of QA and QC? They focus on quality, which both QA and QC are focused on maintaining and improving the quality of products, processes, services to meet customer and regulatory requirements. Process improvement, they both contribute to a continuous improvement by identifying areas for enhancing and implementing corrective and preventative actions. Customer service, so both QA and QC ensure that product and services meet or exceed customer expectations and their requirements. And documentation, everyone's favorite part. So both QA and QC involve the creation and maintenance of documentation to record quality-related activities, standards, procedures, and outcomes. Now, what are the differences when looking at QA and QC? So quality assurance encompasses all activities and processes that ensure the overall quality system is effective. It involves setting up functions, guidelines, standards to prevent defects and ensure compliance with established quality requirements. These can be both government requirements, your internal requirements, or customer requirements. The main objective of a QA program is to prevent defects and ensure that processes are efficient and effective. A QA aims to create a framework for incorporating quality into all products and service development stages. QA activities are typically applied throughout the product lifecycle, from design and development straight through to production and post-market support. QA is also a collective responsibility that involves everyone in your organization. It's about creating a culture of quality, ensuring that quality requirements are met at every level. QA emphasizes a process and system-level approaches to quality. It involves setting up standardized procedures, best practices, and looking at the continuous improvement initiatives within your organization. Now, quality control. Quality control is going to focus on inspecting, testing, and evaluating products, components, or processes to identify and rectify any defects or deficiencies. QC activities are conducted at different stages of production or delivery of any services. Then, the primary objective of QC is to identify and rectify these defects or deviations from quality standards after products or services have been produced and/or delivered. QC activities are usually applied during or after the production or service delivery phase, and this is to assess the product or service quality. QC is typically the responsibility of specialized individuals or teams that perform inspections, tests, evaluations to identify and ensure that products or services meet established standards. QC employs testing, inspection, and sampling techniques to assess the quality of specific products, or their processes. Thanks for staying with me, everyone. I know QC and QA can be a little bit dry, and I did my best to try and make this as interesting as possible. Now that we have an idea of some of the similarities, from QA to QC, starting across the board of your organization, you want to be able to set out what the scope, the objective, the timing and timelines, who is responsible, and what the approach is for each step of both QA and QC. So remember that the effectiveness of a QMS, or quality management system, is going to vary based on the unique characteristics of your organization, industry, and its products. Regular audits, assessments, and feedback from employees, customers, and stakeholders can provide valuable insight into the strengths and identify areas for improvement within your own QMS. So how do you create an efficient QMS? We've outlined 13 small steps here, which turn into big projects within your organization, which is why company culture is so important to creating an efficient QMS. So first, understand the regulatory requirements. Identify the relevant industry regulations, standards, and guidelines for your organization's products and services. Number two, you're going to want to define your quality products, policy, and objectives. Develop a clear quality policy that outlines your organization's commitment to quality and customer satisfaction. Define measurable quality objectives that align with your business's goals. 3, we're going to want to establish quality processes. So you're going to identify the critical processes within your organization that impact the quality of your finished product or service. Document these processes, including inputs, outputs, roles, responsibilities, and interactions. Ensure that the methods are standardized and consistent throughout. Number 4, we're going to want to develop standard operating procedures, or SOPs. So create detailed standard operating procedures for each critical process. SOPs should be easy to understand and outline step-by-step instructions, guidelines, and best practices for carrying out tasks consistently. I personally write my SOPs as if someone was coming in who has no idea about what I do, and making sure that each of those steps is something that they'll be able to understand, and at the end, do the exact same thing that I've just done. So next, you're going to want to assign roles and responsibilities. So you're clearly going to define what the roles and responsibilities for quality-related activities are. Assign individuals accountable for specific aspects of quality management, such as quality assurance, quality control, and continuous improvement. 6, we're going to implement document control. So establish a document control system to manage and maintain all quality-related documents, including policies, procedures, forms, and records. Ensure that documents are controlled, up to date, and accessible to authorized personnel. Another key feature of this is making sure that those authorized personnel know when and where to access this documentation and how to share it appropriately with their staff. So you're going to train and educate employees. Training employees on quality principles, processes, and their roles in the QMS only goes to further ensure that your QMS is going to be efficient. The QMS is only as good as the people who are implementing it. Next, we're going to establish measures and monitoring. So implement a system for measuring and monitoring key quality performance indicators, or KPIs. Any of you in sales? Probably just shivered a little. But regularly track and analyze data to identify trends and areas for improvement. You can also track and identify where you are excelling in certain areas so you do not mess up a perfectly good thing. It's easy to look at all the negatives and how you're going to improve those, but also remember you want to keep doing the things that you do incredibly well, and having a well laid out SOP and QMS is going to allow you to continue to do so. Next, conduct internal audits. So perform regular internal audits to assess the effectiveness of your QMS processes. Audits help identify gaps, non-conformities, and opportunities for improvement. Once you've identified those opportunities for improvement, you're going to implement your corrective and preventative actions. So you need to develop a process for identifying, investigating, and addressing nonconformities or issues that arise. Implement corrective and preventative actions, also known as CAPA, to address root causes and prevent reoccurrences. Number 11, and this one is very important, is foster a culture of continuous improvement. So like I said, your QMS is only as good as the people who are implementing your QMS. So encourage employees at all levels to contribute ideas for process improvement. Implement a structured approach to continuous improvement, such as Lean, Six Sigma, or Total Quality Management. If you need any assistance in developing your own, we've got an incredible team at all of our organizations, QSS, QIS, or CLE. And then you're going to ensure that you have supplier and vendor quality expectations laid out as part of your QMS. So extend your quality focus to suppliers and vendors. Establish criteria for selecting, evaluating, and monitoring suppliers to ensure that they meet your quality standards. So again, what you do within your organization is only as good as what you bring into your organization. So you want to make sure that your products or affiliates or anything else that's kind of sitting within the world of your organization meets the same standards and the same integrity that you do. And then number 13, conduct management reviews and leadership engagement. So regularly review the QMS with top management to assess its effectiveness and alignment with business goals. Leadership engagement is crucial for driving a culture of quality throughout the organization. We all know that it is incredibly important to have a strong leadership team, as everything goes top down when it comes to motivation and implementing these sorts of processes. So I managed to cover that very quickly. Does anybody have any questions at all? Or need any additional insight specific to their industry? Feel free to add them to the chat. Okay. Well, I wanted to close off with a quote that I think of when working with any organization that has to have a QMS, for just in terms of what I hold myself to a standard, in our team here at QSS and CLE holds to, is quality is never an accident. It is always a result of intelligent effort. You will get out of your organization and your team and your systems what you put into it. So if you've put your heart and soul into something, make sure that everyone else knows how to implement what you have done and what you expect to see, if it is a process or a activity, and making sure that there's a consistent message throughout your organization that travels to your customers and your vendors as well, that you operate with integrity, that you have a commitment to quality and the best results for everyone involved in this situation. Are there any details that anyone would like to go a little deeper into? And go back to those 13 steps here. No? All right. I shall give you a few little anecdotes of things that I've come up with or some of our team has faced and overcome when addressing QMS systems in various organizations that we've all worked at, some of those stories we've shared. So understanding regulatory requirements. This is incredibly important. Health Canada, the FDA, and most government organizations do not accept, "Oh, I didn't know," as an excuse. If you are getting into an operation that is regulated, especially say if you're going into cannabis, please know them inside out and backwards. And if you don't, trust the lead that you have put in charge of that. Cutting corners when it comes to quality systems only ends up costing more money in the long run. That is very applicable to cannabis, but it's incredibly applicable also to NHPs, medical devices, the food safety industry, all the way across the board. Know what you're up against and have a plan to be able to meet and exceed those expectations from anyone across the board. So defining your quality policy and objectives. If you want to be a mid-range company, that's totally cool. There's a place in every industry for everyone. Maybe not the really terrible ones or ones that are creating risk, but hopefully they haven't exceeded to this point. But knowing what your goals and your objectives are and being able to properly share that across all of your organization, and again, anyone touching your organization, will help propel. Okay. Oh, sorry, we have a quick question here. Okay, from Jay. When there are well-organized QMS-related documents and processes, the volume of these documents can be quite extensive. It's challenging to remember and apply all this information in the actual production environment by floor workers. What are some ways to easily implement this in a production site? One, easiest one, is don't give them information they don't need. If they are, say, working in a food factory and their line only applies with fruits and vegetables, they don't need to know the SOPs that are required for making soup on the third floor. So make sure what you are transferring in terms of the quality and the SOP requirements are actually applicable to each person's job, and make them fun as much as possible. Having training days with a group as opposed to like an onboarding where you have to fill out a whole bunch of quizzes after reading some really dry paperwork makes things stick in their heads. And yes, Jessica, you are right. Having things accessible makes a huge difference as well. So again, just repeating, making things easily accessible and making sure that you're not overloading them with information that they don't need. I had a boss who once said, you can't be perfect at everything, but you can be darn near perfect at one thing. And I've tried to live with that in most of my career, is trusting the people who do the things that I don't know how to do, and then following their guidance. The same in any operation. And yes, Randall, that kind of goes back to the quote that I have there at the end. It's all about intelligent effort and being actively engaged in your work. There's other quotes that are out there as well. But yeah, making sure that you're actually engaged in what you're doing. And it's one of the nice things that having a third party auditor come in, if you kind of feel like you've lost your way a little bit, because we've all done it. Think about your own kitchen, that little corner that you just kind of avoid as much as possible, or you just don't even see it anymore because that's where you pile your stuff. We don't necessarily see what we come across every single day, whereas having a fresh set of eyes come in and take a look and go, hey, maybe we take a look at this, or did you remember about that, is also very helpful. Checklists are very useful. We use them for everything and everything that we do. Now, don't use it as just ticking the box, like Randall said. Having a little bit of additional detail in there, if you're looking for something very specific from an employee or a team member, will absolutely help. But making sure that they've got, their top 10 things that they've got to make sure are right every single time and that they're doing correctly each time. Checklist is the easiest way to do it. And then having those internal audits to just make sure that those checklists are still being effective. Checks and balances all the way along. Be able to rely on your friends and your colleagues at work. Managers be able to rely and encourage staff. And then staff being able to rely on your managers for proper guidance. Never be afraid to ask a question. Anything that's going to create an improvement or additional clarification, that is the whole point of having these systems in place. So actively engaging with your entire team. And Jessica, there is a direct question to you from Jay. It really depends on the size. I've found, Jay, it depends on the size of your organization and what industry you're in. There are systems that are out there that are a little bit more catered to specific industries. Others, I've seen companies using systems like Monday. Not my favorite, but heck, if you know how to use it inside out and backwards and your staff is trained on it and you are comfortable with it, it will be effective. And yes, Jessica, you're right. There's a million systems out there. And what I always recommend is don't talk to just one person. Don't talk to just one system. If you have the time, attend those demos to multiple ones and find the one that does speak best to your activities and your systems. And again, just prepare yourself for a lot of paperwork. I always joke that being on the QA side, you're kind of the least favorite person of the organization because you have the most amount of paperwork to provide, the most things that they have to be trained on, and the most no's when it comes to progressing. But that's okay. Encourage them. Remind them that it's all part of a system so that we can always have those consistent, repeatable, achievable, exceeding expectation results each and every time. And don't be afraid when something goes to the side. It's okay. It happens. But again, having that QMS system in place allows you to be able to go back and see where maybe that one time it didn't go. Maybe the power went out. Maybe someone was sick and hadn't had proper training, and there's a million reasons why something can go sideways, but being able to track back to ensure that it doesn't happen again and to be able to improve on whatever those processes were is key to success. Again, anytime you try and cut a corner through something like this, it does end up costing your company money further along the line, whether it's in having to redo that system, bring in additional people, whether it's something didn't meet quality expectations and you're having to destroy a batch of something. It all hurts. So knowing that you've done everything that you can along the way to reduce those risks and those concerns is going to be incredibly valuable to your team and your organization's bottom dollar. Any other questions? I like it when there's a little chat going on within the chat, so feel free to talk amongst yourselves and I can comment on it. Okay, so I'm just going to reiterate some of the quick points, and then I think we will wrap a little bit early today. I know everyone's very busy. I don't know if you've all been at a million trade shows this month as I have, which could be why I'm talking over myself a tiny bit today. But I do want to just emphasize the importance of having a proper QMS system. And thank you, Jessica and Jen. Thank you for joining us. But yes, so the importance. You want to save money, you want to save time, you want to reduce risks, hazards to your products, to your people, to your organization. So again, we'll just go over those 13 points again. Understand your regulatory requirements. Define what your quality policy and objectives are. Establish quality processes. Develop standard operating procedures. Assign roles and responsibilities to those SOPs. Implement document control. Thank you, Maurice. You want to train and educate your employees. There's no point in having a great system if nobody knows how to use it. Establish measurements and monitoring, because again, we want to always be able to improve and catch issues when they happen as opposed to when it's too late. Conduct those internal audits to make sure that you are continually trying to improve your systems. We can all learn from everything that's out there, and we can always improve and be better at what we do, and that applies to organizations as well. So then we're going to want to focus on implementing corrective actions and preventative actions, otherwise known as CAPA. Foster that culture of continuous improvement. Encourage your staff to be part of the quality system. Maybe don't word it that way to them. We're part of a team that creates some of the best products in our industry with the best reputation in our industry, and make them part of why that is what that is. And then ensure supplier and vendor quality. Make sure the people that you work with also have the same level of quality and integrity to the business that you have to your business. And then finally, management review and leadership engagement. We know that strongest teams have strongest leaders. So that is my quick little recap on there. Again, quality is never an accident. It is always the result of an intelligent effort. And finally, I would like to thank you all for joining us today. If you have any additional comments or concerns or questions about what we do at Quality Smart Solutions, Cannabis License Experts, and how we can help you achieve your quality goals, please feel free to reach out. We can be contacted at our 1-800 number. You can email us or just use our contact sheets upon our websites, which are qualitysmartsolutions.com and cannabislicenseexperts.com. So thank you again. We have a fabulous team ready to support and address any questions and concerns that you may have. And I do hope to see you at our next webinar. We have one coming up on New York regulations for the cannabis industry in just a few weeks. So make sure to keep an eye on our LinkedIn events page for upcoming events. We'd love to see you all again. Thanks again.